Today we're going to be tackling what will be one of several discussion topics for Red Dead Redemption 2's online component, Red Dead Online, the return of Red Dead Online. In the future, we're going to be talking about PvP. I think that's something that needs to be dove pretty deep into. It needs a bit of a rework, I think, to be better than it currently is, to be something that isn't just a griefer's playground, a griefer's paradise, if you will, especially when we talk about the open world. But today we're going to focus on economy and the concept of whether or not Red Dead Online is pay to win. You're seeing a lot of people fire that term out of a cannon onto your screen right now over on YouTube. I think it's something that can be discussed with a little bit more nuance, and I also have some recommendations for Rockstar on things they can do to avoid that discussion altogether. Now, when we talk about the basic economy of Red Dead Online, it's a bit awful right now. You know, this is a game that has built this very tedious and believable world, and the economy is anything but believable and a lot of tedious. You're earning pennies, but everything in the game costs many dollars. I'm not going to go too deep into this. I could talk about it for 40 minutes, but Rockstar actually broke their silence on this yesterday and have basically said to the community, hey, we hear what you have to say about the economy. You know, we agree. We built it this way so we could make rapid changes to it to make it a more enjoyable experience for everyone. And we're going to be doing that over the next several days, and we'll have a patch for you guys in the next week or so. So I'm going to wait until we get that patch to really go deep on where the economy currently stands. But just know right now that you basically earn no money from doing just about everything in the game. It's already in the same state that GTA Online was, where people are just grinding like one specific thing over and over again to make currency. In fact, there was even an exploit discovered for gold bars, which are the premium currency that can also be earned somewhat in-game because people were that frustrated with the rate at which they were earning money. Hopefully, this economy update fixes that, and all of these wonderful activities that they've designed for this fantastic open world in Red Dead Online, the same fantastic open world we got in Red Dead single player, by the way, can actually earn us some proper money. I think it's very important that the individual who plays for a few hours a week feels like they're making as much progress as the person who plays for a dozen hours a week. There's obviously a limit. You know, you shouldn't really be able to play an hour a month and feel like you're making progress, but no one should ever feel like they're forced to gain access to items through the premium currency. That is that classic skip ideology that we saw in like Forza recently, that we see in mobile free-to-play games all the time, and I think it's a pile of shite. I think forcing people to do the whole, if you've got more money than time thing, put your credit card in here. I think that ideology can just go sit in a bin somewhere, hopefully for as long as possible. So let's talk pay to win, the premium currency in the game, and all the shenanigans surrounding that. Now, I will say that I don't really believe Red Dead Online to be directly pay to win. Pay to win typically comes up in a PvP experience, right? One where one player can kill another player with equipment, weapons, gear that they purchased with real-world currency that puts them at an advantage. There's a couple things happening in Red Dead Online that I think kind of just narrowly dodged the bullet on pay to win. The first is that all of the weapons, horses, which are probably the two biggest gameplay items in the game that could affect pay to win, or PvP anyway, are locked behind a level requirement. So you can't just boot up the game, spend $25 when premium currency becomes available, and buy like a sniper rifle. You still have to reach the level requirement. The other thing here, the big one in my opinion, is the overall lethality of PvP in this game, and the ways in which the different weapons across the different weapon archetypes, the weapon classes, have been balanced. So everybody's extremely lethal. Everyone dies fast, everyone kills fast. The starting Cattleman Revolver, the starting lever action repeater, they will kill in one headshot. Everyone and anyone. It doesn't matter if that dude's got a rolling block rifle. If you shoot him in the head before he shoots you, he is dead. That's pretty much the way weapons are balanced across the board within their archetypes. So when you look at all of the lever action weapons, there really isn't one that does exponentially more damage than another. I mean, the starting repeater is really in some ways just as good as the second or third repeater you can buy, the Litchfield or the other lever action. The difference here is in the balancing of their stats. So some weapons do a little bit more damage, but as a trade-off, they have less accuracy and vice versa. That's really how it functions across the board. I mean, yes, a lever action rifle or a rolling block is much better at long range, has much greater accuracy and much higher damage than a repeater, but all of the weapons within that sniper rifle category, again, just have a lot of trade-off. There isn't really one be-all, like that's the most powerful version type weapon. And every weapon class has a weapon that can be unlocked at a lower level for what will hopefully eventually become a reasonable amount of money when the economy gets updated. So I don't really see the pay to win there, at least not to the extent where it's a genuine concern. That said, I think it's completely unnecessary for Rockstar to allow players to purchase horses or weapons with premium currency. I mean, if you want to just avoid this discussion altogether and ensure that in the future, balancing weapons is never an issue where you're like, oh man, are we making one thing way too powerful? Are people just gonna be able to spend gold on this and get a jump, get an advantage? Just do away with it. You know, there's so many things in this game to buy, cosmetically and personalization-wise, that I see no need for you to offer an ability for players to purchase the two largest gameplay components in your online experience with premium currency. I think that's the easiest fix you could possibly make. The next chance you get, disable gold purchases for all firearms and disable gold purchases for all horses. Leave gold purchases to personalization items only. To act like there's a need, like, oh, those are the two gameplay things, that's what we got to do that, completely ignores the idea, the realization, that Red Dead Online is very much a role-playing experience. A hat, in this case, is probably worth more than that next lever action rifle to most players. You know, the harness that you might put on your gun belt or your gun belt. You know, the different customization options for your firearms cosmetically. These are all things that carry a lot of weight in an online experience like this. Go ahead and put the premium purchases on those personalization items. Avoid the pay-to-win discussion altogether, and I guarantee you're still going to have just as much opportunity for profit. Now that said, there's still a little bit more to be said about how they're handling this premium currency. So while it's all fine and dandy that you can earn some of this premium currency in-game, it's at such a slow rate that it's obvious it's just there to make you feel like, hey, you can get some of it. You know, 3 months from now, you might be able to fully customize the medals on your revolver. So I'm not going to give them like a pat on the back for that one. And I don't even really mind the existence of a premium currency. I get that they're going to do a lot of free DLC like they did with GTA Online, and they need to turn a profit somehow, but I think they can earn a more honest dollar from the consumer. And what I don't like to see with this premium currency when we start to talk about the personalization side of things is entire brackets, entire selections of personalization options locked behind this premium currency paywall. The best example I found in game right now is modifying your metal type for your firearms. So if I look at my revolver, for example, and I decide I don't like the stock sort of, you know, bare bones steel or iron or whatever this weapon's cast out of, I want to go with a blackened steel or a blued steel. I want to throw a little bit of gold on there along with, you know, my engravings and my inlays. I can only change those metals with premium currency right now. And if I want to do an entire weapon in a different material, even as something as standard as blued steel, it costs like 10 to 15 gold bars. I don't mind there being a spectrum. If I went into this menu and half of these items were purchasable with real cash as well as gold, and then some of them were only purchasable with gold with the premium currency, I'd be okay with that. The idea that the more rare items are a premium item, that's something that I can jive with. But when you lock out an entire personalization spectrum behind a premium currency, no. You know, I think everything should be available with in-game currency to some extent. And if you want to have really rare stuff within a certain selection, that's okay, make that premium, but nothing should be completely locked off behind that premium paywall, especially not for something as important as firearms. I mean, they're like a huge part of the game world. There's so much personality that can be injected into a player's firearm, you know, through the maintaining of that weapon with the game's in-game like gun cleaning system. That's something I want to be able to modify, and I don't want to have to spend premium currency just to put the most basic of metals on my weapon. So I'd like to see some changes to that. I think that in general, publishers, developers, they need to get around the idea of earning an honest dollar from the player more. It's great to see all of these free DLC systems, but right now the trade-off is a lot of developers putting in haphazard monetization systems that rely on some of the oldest and worst monetization ideologies, like, oh, let's get the whales. You You know, let's get the person who's got more time than money. Let's just, boom, get them in here. Who cares about how terrible the progression is? We'll earn a bunch of money off that schmuck who's got $1,000 a month to spend. Or maybe he doesn't and he loses his house. Who really cares? We just need to turn a profit. You know, that's that really disgusting business side of it. There can be healthy business conversation here around monetization, and some of the oldest business ideology revolves around earning an honest dollar from the player, from your customer, giving them the experience that makes them feel like they're making progress, like their initial dollar was already well spent, to the point where they eventually say, wow, they keep adding all this free content. This is great. I played the last free update for Red Dead Online with my friends. I've got 20 hours in the game now. You know what? I really want to put that gold inlay on my weapon. And I know that's a premium only purchase, but I already was able to buy, the copper, and that was with real money. I'll spend the $5. I'll get some gold bars. I can spend a little bit there, a little bit here. Why not? You're going to gain access to premium currency purchases from more people when you earn that honest dollar, over just trying to tackle those whales, as they say. Oh, let's just get the person who's got more money than sense. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with monetization in games in general, and that's definitely what I see happening here with Red Dead Online. And those are some of my suggestions for how Rockstar can get away from that if they're genuinely interested in being good to their consumer, to their customer. They got to turn a profit. I totally get that, but you can turn a profit without being a bunch of greedy scumbags. Talking to you, Take-Two. That's a big publisher decision. I don't think anybody at Rockstar wants anyone to feel like they have to spend money on their game to make any sort of reasonable progress. But hey, Shark Cards, they sold like a boatload, didn't they? So there's a lot to be concerned about. I understand why the pay-to-win discussion came out so fiercely. And hell, if that's what got Rockstar thinking, okay, we got to figure something out here with the publisher, we got to change progression systems here, then great. Because GT Online was a bit of a mess, and very much pay to win in a lot of instances. So we'll see how the cookie continues to crumble here. Hopefully it crumbles into a wonderful glass of milk and right into our mouths in the best possible way. I want Red Dead Online to be enjoyable, but I don't want it to be something where I have to put in dozens of hours a week to feel like I'm making any sort of reasonable progress. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, remember to be awesome to one another, because you, me, the fine folks on this planet, at the end of the day, that's all we got.
The most